the May 28th City of Colleyville Planning and Zoning Commission work session. First item, we will call roll. Commissioner Moore?
Here.
Commissioner Holt? Here. Commissioner Mathisen, I'm here. Commissioner Cook?
Here.
Commissioner Bell is absent. I don't know about Commissioner Elms. He's not here, so let's see. I presume he's going to be absent. Okay, all right, so 2 items tonight. One, the first item is legacy. This will be pretty straightforward. We've already seen the preliminary plat, and this is just the final plat.
That's correct. This is the second piece of the platting puzzle. So this is a final plat for 25 single-family lots and 5 open spaces, and I'm sure you know the location well. And this is the final plat, which is virtually what you saw for the preliminary.
Any modifications whatsoever?
No.
No, okay. Any concerns from any neighbors, any new concerns that have been brought forth? No, okay.
So you're saying nothing changed on this since last time we saw it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, the only reason this is coming to us just so we can approve the plot. The plat, I guess.
And then that way they can start putting in the infrastructure and the roads.
Well, I don't have any more questions, do y'all? Nope, okay. All right, very good.
Okay.
Okay, the second item, this is, what? I don't know. Am I looking at the wrong,
Oh,
that way?
that one is wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the one for the
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
CC
Fine.
19006.
Okay, all right, so sorry. Yeah, that was different. Okay, all right.
Okay, so this is for the property located at 6260 Pool Road, and they're wishing to rezone the entire piece. That one platted lot there has 2 zonings on it right now. It has ag in the back and R40 in the front, and they want to rezone to the R40 because they'd like a little bit extra room on the sides so they can, people that own the property want to build another single-family residential home. It's quite similar to the 2308 Glade, and that they're asking to do virtually the same thing. Just writing this down. So the ag side setbacks, you need to have 25 feet, and to go to R40, it goes down to 15 feet, side yard setbacks. They did work with staff earlier this year, and they had an amended plat where they adjusted the property line here and this. I zoomed in.
So, I'm sorry, I do want to make sure I understand this completely.
They adjusted the property line by an amended plat.
From where to where?
It was just a little bit of a jog here.
Well, not exactly. So all of the ag was a platted lot, and then the R40 was also a platted lot. So really the adjustment was this right here is now part of the lot that was just the R40.
So it's all combined into one lot, and there will be no separation whatsoever of the 2 lots?
Correct.
And there's no intention to?
That's right. Yeah, so it was the ag lot and the R40 lot. They've revised the boundary, and now, so a lot of this ag area is now part of this lot.
Why didn't they do that all at the same time then? The R40?
They weren't sure if they needed the reduction in setbacks. So they went through the plat process, and it was sold to the new owner for this lot, and they decided to go ahead and go forward with the zoning now, because they're asking for the 15-foot side
It's
setback.
already been sold?
Yes.
Yes,
When was it sold?
maybe a month and a half ago.
So my concern is when I look at the listing, when it was listed. Looks like two different lots. So I want to make sure that that's not going to happen.
No, and that's not gonna happen. So this was the platted lot with the R40,
Yeah,
and so they purchased the ag area.
So this
and
is
then
all the
combined
same
that all
owner?
into a single lot, yes.
okay.
Now it's
And
now all one owner.
And then this home here, the structure has been removed completely?
Yes,
Yes.
What about the structure?
I believe so, yes. Because that was with this property, and so all of those structures were removed for the sale of this lot.
What's the full square footage of it? It's like 2
It is 73,000 square feet, approximately.
The lot, the front lot, or the front area that has been rezoned, why, I don't understand why, if it was never two separate lots,
Might had two zonings.
why they only requested a zoning change for the front area.
Yeah, so all of the ag was one lot, and that was the Chan's. They bought this lot, and they went through the rezoning to the R40 to make sure that that would not have the ability to subdivide. They put this on the market, and I think whoever was looking at this property wanted to know if they could purchase this extra land so that they can get a larger lot.
So they
And
put,
that worked out,
So
and
they-
that's what they worked out, and that's what the plat did. So this area that did belong to this property, they sold it and then combined that, so this is now, what you see in red is the platted lot line,
what's the address for the R40?
6260.
Okay, I
Yeah,
just
so
don't
that-
understand why this was separated out in the zoning, just that section.
Well, this was a separate
It's
lot.
always been separate?
It was always a separate lot,
Okay.
separate from this. So they had bought this, it was about 7 acres, they built their home there. And then they purchased this lot, and they really did not have, at that time, did not have an intention to sell this area. They rezoned it, platted it, tore down the house, put it on the market, and the now owner wanted to make their lot larger, and so
So-
they worked out a deal to purchase some of this ag area
So what were
here.
they planning on doing with the ag portion of this flag?
Well, it's all for one house.
Well, I understand that, but the intention what were they thinking about doing when they replotted the R40?
They
Well,
didn't
that
own
was
that.
when the,
Yeah,
that was
They
when the
didn't own
Chans
that.
still owned it.
Yeah.
So without getting, I don't know all the names, so 6300 owned everything in white.
Yep.
All of that at one time. They sold off what was rezoned R40, or they
No.
didn't?
Rezoned
They
it.
bought
into-
it.
Rezoned
Bought it.
They
bought it.
rezoned it and platted it, tore down the house. They rezoned it to R40 to ensure that it would stay as a single lot. When they put it on the market, that's when
So they put that on the
the
market
future
separately.
owner, yeah, the future owner, now owner, asked if they could make this lot larger, and they purchased this ag area
From 6300.
from them. So now what's in red is the new lot. So basically, the R40 expanded to include this ag area, and now they're just wanting to do R40 for the whole
And
thing.
they'd rather not rezone it ag because of setbacks.
Well, the ag requires 3 acres minimum,
Okay.
and they don't, they
That's
only
right.
have 73,000 square feet.
They're pretty close.
They're about a full acre short of
Yeah,
the,
it's, really? Because,
40.
what's the size of this one? I thought this was like 1.3 acres? And that's 1.7?
no, the total square footage of the new lot is 73,000 square feet.
So 1.676
That includes the
One
R40
point.
lot?
acres.
That's my understanding.
That's the whole, all of it.
Yeah.
Well,
the
you know
whole-
what? No, you're right. I'm sorry. The ag area is the 1.7.
Yeah, and that's 1.3, right?
I think when we worked it out, it did not have, so you're right, I think it is very close, but I don't think it quite meets the 3 acres on the square footage
Well,
calculation.
that's 1.7, and that's 1.3.
Yeah, it's 1.676, so it is very close. I mean, we could,
We could suggest a,
but what they're really asking is more for the setbacks.
I see,
They'd prefer to have a 15-foot setback. So that's underlining, that's really the request for R40, to allow for the 15-foot setbacks on each side.
Where are they wanting to build the house? Do we know?
I believe it's more in the middle, so if they put the house entirely within the R40, then they could do the 15-foot setbacks, but I think they want to be back further, and so it didn't work out. I don't know the exact location, but that was our conversation.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, as long
I
as.
believe
they're-
it's just under 3 acres,
Mhm.
but really they want 15-foot side setbacks so that they can spread out the house.
Okay. Okay. Let's see.
And when does a public notice get sent out on something like that?
And we sent it out last week,
Okay.
and we posted the sign last week as well.
When is this gonna be on our agenda again?
June 10th, yeah.
June 10th, okay. So who's the applicant?
It's Grayson Ceballos with Windrose Plant Services, is that?
Okay. Any more questions? You understand my concerns and reservation? I mean, not concern, well, concerns initially, I didn't realize it was the same individual with one house. That's a little different.
Right. If it does also help, if you look at the width, it's about 180 feet wide, which would not allow for a subdivision. Even with the R40, we require 150 feet of width for
That's
each
right.
lot.
That's right.
So there's not enough width in order to subdivide. So they would have to work with this property and actually install a street, utilities, the whole 9 yards if they wanted to subdivide, unless they receive plat waivers.
But
But I don't-
subdividing that lot is just not gonna happen. I mean,
Right. It would require plat waivers, which I don't see that being approved.
right, okay. Because
Can you
that
go-
would be a stacked lot.
Right.
We're protected from that happening with the R40 zoning.
Right. They don't have enough width for it to be a straight divide without a plat waiver, and I don't see that being approved.
Okay,
Well, and it sounds like they're building a big house on it anyway.
right,
Right.
okay. Any more questions?
Can you go back to the pictures real quick where it shows that way? Because the 6250 that's obviously R20, so those houses could potentially be pretty close together. Right?
Potentially. The R20 has a 10-foot
Yeah.
side minimum.
So they're going 15, you're potentially, in those size lots, 25 feet between the two houses.
And I don't know that they will go to the full 15 feet, but I think the 25 feet is where they're having some problems with the size of the house they're wanting to build and not having it fit based on the 180-foot total width of the lot.
What kind of, for fire access and emergency vehicle purposes, what kind of road would they need?
And so it will have to provide a turnaround. It doesn't have to be to a full fire lane width, but I think the pavement has to be able to support the fire truck. Depending on how big the house is, they might have to install fire sprinkler anyway. When it's over 6,000 square feet, then it is an automatic trigger to require fire sprinkler systems.
Okay. I don't have any more questions, do y'all? No? Wow. Okay.
Right.
All right, well, I guess we're adjourned.
Okey-dokey.
Thank you.